All right. So we were going to continue some ideas from the last episode, which was I wanted specifically to talk about this great video by Jay Reviews. He's just a great YouTube content creator. Plug in the dude, why not? But he was talking about in this video Mega Man 9, and I thought it was a really good concept, and I wanted to kind of have us two talk about some of the ideas that I was having while I was watching it, specifically about how Mega Man 9 got made. And he was talking about he's better at looking up the history and stuff. So go watch him if you want to get a real history lesson. This is just going to be fucking my opinions about shit. So what I thought was really interesting that I didn't ever really think about it when Mega Man 9 came out was the fact that it was a Mega Man game that was made in the old style of like Mega Man 1 through 3 and just really basic 8-bit graphics. And even the gameplay was the same as those old Mega Man games. And I was very excited about that game when it came out. I know you don't really play Mega Man. What are your thoughts on the Mega Man 9 game? Like, what do you think about that?
Yeah, so I never really had, kind of like what we talked about with the Nintendo stuff. I don't really have kind of that background that you do. Everything that I have is kind of, very, very closed, very contained to the game that I'm playing. And so, yeah, Mega Man 9 was kind of the first real Mega Man game that I sunk my teeth into and played a significant part of. I never beat it, but I did get significantly through the game. And you're right. I think there was kind of that allure of that retro future kind of, we're making a game, with some of the restraints that we had in the past and kind of adding some new modern flavor to it, some quality of life things. I really enjoyed it. I think those type of games scratches an itch that you can't get in other genres. I think that style of game is so unique. It's just so, like, I keep using this word to describe things when I'm talking about video games, but in my mind, that's the only way that I can really comprehend it. It's so cool to be in that universe. You know what I mean? Like, that is, to me, that's the 90s. That's the early 2000s when stuff was cool and it was, that retro future kind of, this is science and it's the way far future. We don't have to explain stuff. It just works. And it's like, yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So that was my experience with Mega Man 9, but obviously this is kind of your cup of tea, so I'm interested to hear what you think of it.
You nailed a lot of the stuff that I wanted to talk about as far as the return to like older style of gaming, but not really a return to it. I don't want it to return as being the main thing. I just want it to come back because a lot of those genres are not around anymore, at least not in the capacity that they were in, especially Mega Man games. They're kind of its own genre, especially Mega Man X. I'd love to go on a fucking big goddamn rant about how there's no Mega Man X games.
Yep.
You're leaving a lot of meat on the table. No, we're going to make Monster Hunter. Stop! Stop it! Give me Mega Man X. Quit putting them in fighting games. No. Well, so they made this Mega Man 9 game, and then they made Mega Man 10, of course, which also I was excited about. But I love Mega Man games, right? They're fun for what they are. But Mega Man X is what I want them to fucking make, and they don't do it. Back to the topic at hand, which was, I think it's really cool that we get to see those 8-bit graphics. We really only see that stuff from indie developers, and maybe it was indie developers that really pushed that charge, going back and bringing back pixel, bringing back 16-bit, 8-bit, 32-bit, and just seeing that, like you said. The other thing that was really cool, I wanted to say this too when you were talking, which was, you remember getting a game and there was like 4 different art styles attached to it?
Yeah. And like you said, I feel like so much of gaming history looking back versus where it is now, that stuff's gone. You don't have games like that anymore. You don't have alternating styles, or we're going to do this one different and weird or anything like that. You just don't have it. You don't have anything like that anymore.
I was trying to Google this very quickly. I'm going to butcher this because I don't remember how to say it, but I'm using it as a point because we were talking about Pokemon last time, so I might as well keep talking about at least part of it. I'll never get over looking over how cool the artwork was in the booklet by Ken Sugimori. I think that's how you say his name. I loved that art style. I loved the way the Pokemon looked. And then there was a different art style because the graphics in the game had to be different because you you couldn't recreate that on the Game Boy then. I really just like the varying degrees of styles of art. You were exposed to so many different styles of art for any given game. Like think about the art for Final Fantasy VII and how even in the game there was like 4 different art styles, and we just that was fine for us, you know. And I kind of miss that. I kind of miss having tons of different artists instead of just having one cohesive style. Like it would be kind of cool because even the Mega Man games, they had like the Western box art and then they had the Eastern box art. Like that's cool too. I missed that. I missed booklets with all that cool artwork that you could look at and look through, like full color. Man, that was just fun.
We kind of alluded to this. Actually, I don't even know if we got to that topic or not, but kind of alluded to this when we were talking about kind of that retro style, which is a lot of times that's how you filled in the blanks. The graphics couldn't be these picture sharp 4K, 120 hertz HDR stuff. And so what you would do is you would have kind of this chibi art style or very, very compressed, very condensed art style. And then the art, the instruction manual would have all of the art in it. This is what the artist's vision is. We're constrained by the limitations of our console, but this is what our imagination really is. This is what the world really is. And so it really filled in the blanks where, especially, you're like Mega Man 9 and stuff like that. Even a lot of the story were in those books where we just can't put in all the cutscenes that we want, or we can't have all of this stuff. So they would just put it in the instruction booklets and you would just play through that.
You're right about that. That's something that's always missing from even like there's, what do you call that? The virtual console thing that's on the Switch. I fucking pay for it every month, technically, I guess. I don't remember what it's called. But they don't have the fucking booklets. So how are you supposed to get the story that goes along with some of those old games? Well, I'll just Google it, I guess. But we just read them. Like you said, well, actually what we would do as kids, let's be honest, we would fucking rip that game out of the box, slam it in the console, start playing it and be like, what the fuck is this game about? Get the booklet. Then then you start reading through the booklet. Oh, you can do this other move if you hold these buttons. What? I didn't know that. Oh, that's pretty cool. I just loved that. I love seeing that. I mean, the retro style is so nostalgic to us. So we're really kind of preyed upon by it, I guess. But it's not really like rampant anywhere except within really the indie scene. But I've been playing a lot of Mega Man related things. And then somebody activated my Mega Man X lust earlier last week, and now I'm like, oh, I gotta play through those games again, son of a bitch. How dare you? At least they couldn't activate my Sonic lust because I already went through that earlier last year. Got to go through the cycle, okay?
Well, and for a very long time, you talked about those games not being available. I think the only thing worse than not having a franchise available to you is having the franchise available and the games aren't what you expected or what you wanted. You're talking about going back and playing through the library of Sonic games. I think some of those are some hidden gems that people kind of dismissed because they were like, the 3D Sonics aren't very good. They're not the same as they were when they were 2D. Mega Man games, they're not the same. They're not as good as they used to be. I think a lot of those franchises, they've kind of been supplemented and made better with time where you can kind of sit there and go back and look at things with rose-tinted glasses and be like, oh, yeah, these old games are pretty good.
Here's the next topic, modders. Modders, okay. 2 things. One, we were talking about art earlier in various different styles, and modders, those motherfuckers are amazing. They'll put their art style into the game for you. You can just take a taste of what life could have been, and damn near any game that you can get on the PC, if you can get it on there, somebody's probably modded it in some way so that you can get a better, maybe their interpretation of what the director's cut might look like for that game. And number 2, like you said, maybe this game wasn't up to snuff. And these modders come and they fucking make it up to stuff, man. They're going back into my memories and fixing them. Hey! Oh, we did that episode a while back. I don't know where it is right now, but where you and I got Final Fantasy VII, the original, on the PC, and we finally partook of Final Fantasy VII mods. And it blew us away. We were sitting there like, oh my God, that's what it looked like when I was a kid. How in the fuck did you do that? Incredible. Incredible work. I love modders. I wish I could plug specific people right now because it would. Goddamn.
I think the one that stands out to me is obviously Fallout and Elder Scrolls Skyrim. Pick your poison, whichever setting you like the best. But you're right. You're exactly right. We recently got the PS5 enhanced version of Fallout 4 with ultra wide support. Great. I've had that for 4 years now because some amazing modder had ultra wide monitor and added all of the stuff in, all of the assets in, changed all of the files and all of that to get it to work. A lot of cases, you're right. The modders finish games that the developers don't finish, and they turn a game that maybe was okay into a game that I still play that game now today, and it's 100% because of modders.
And I'd love to go further into that topic right now, but there's one thing that I wanted to mention because we haven't spent any time talking about it, and maybe people who are listening have been waiting for us to talk about FPS games. We haven't talked about any FPS games at all. We haven't gone into the FPS world, and so you've kind of brought us into it, but I think that'll be probably next time we'll go further into FPS games and what we think about some of the older ones and the life cycle that they went through to get us where we are today, and how us old guys are no good at those games now. When I say us, I just mean me and Anthony here. He's better than I am, but you're right. I think that modding really breathes life into an older game, or keeps a game that, I mean, some games are not just on life support; they're thriving under modding, and I think the industry in and of itself right now is really taking a closer look at that. And I think, I love this game, Baldur's Gate 3. And I'm gonna plug Larian too, because I think Larian recognizes what it takes to have a game live long. They saw what Skyrim and Bethesda had done with their communities and giving them the modding packs, and how long people have not only continued to play those games, but have continued to purchase them full price, even multiple times.
Oh yeah, I'm guilty of that. I'm fairly confident that my sister has personally funded a wing in Bethesda Studios from all of the times she's purchased Skyrim, as well as all of the Knights of the Old Republic games, Mass Effect. I think she has purchased those out of the donation of her of her teacher's salary. So how dare you? How dare you take her money?
Calm down. That's BioWare you're mixing in there.
Well, yeah, BioWare, yeah.
But we can say good things about BioWare. Why not? They made fucking some awesome classics. They made fucking Baldur's Gate 1 and 2. They made Knights of the Old Republic, or as we usually call it to each other, KOTOR. And they made fucking Mass Effect. Come on, man. They made some fucking awesome RPGs until they crashed and burned into oblivion. Damn it.
Well, they got bought and they were forced to make a first-person shooter. Great, thanks, EA, thanks Activision, corporate overlords.
Let's not think of how stupid they are. We've already brought up the demons of Nintendo. We don't need to bring up the demons of other things here. We're celebrating the good stuff that. Well, maybe we won't. Maybe we will fucking rant. I don't know, but I don't want to spend all our time talking negative. I don't know. I was thinking about modding. But really, I mean, we started here talking about old graphics to new. What are some games that you'd like to see remade in their old style? Would you like to see like Metal Gear 3, but made in fucking Metal Gear Solid? Or fuck, I fucking said that wrong. Would you like to see Metal Gear Solid 3 made in the Metal Gear NES style?
Oh yeah, that'd be amazing. Yeah, that's a good call. Yeah, oh my gosh, that's one. We're trying not to get on a rant, but the Metal Gear Solid remakes that came out on PlayStation 3 and then again on PlayStation 5 have been very disappointing. Yeah, you're right. I think kind of that like retro remake. That'd be such an interesting way.
A demake.
Yeah, a demake. Yeah. That'd be such a cool way to go back and kind of experience those games. I don't know if there'd be a big audience for that. I would certainly love to see that. That'd be awesome. Yeah. Well, I guess I should say this. Here's my chance to plug it, because I'll plug it every chance I get. Yeah, Dragon Ball Z Budokai 1, 2, and 3. Remake them, you cowards. Give me the Super Nintendo Dragon Ball games, that art style. Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3 fighting mechanics. Do it, you cowards. No online. Couch co-op only.
Let's be honest. The company that makes those games would be delighted to do that since they have to make one every year, right?
Yeah, true. Yeah, in order to keep their copyright license.
But okay, though. So talking about the Demakes and stuff. Well, the fucking what's it called? Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta. Is that the one that's coming out? What do you think of that?
Yeah.
Are you not excited? I kind of watched it. I thought it was cool.
Here's my problem. I'm so desensitized to anything Metal Gear Solid because of how they've handled that company. I would love for that game to be great. I will buy it and I will play it regardless of whether it is good or bad. But I hear Metal Gear Solid 3 is probably my second favorite Metal Gear Solid. It was so fun. It was so the story. This is how you know the story was good. It made me do research on the topics that they talked about in the story because I wanted to know more about that time period, about the Cold War, about those things that were happening, about the people and events that were going on. If you want to take that and you want to give it brand new graphics and present it to an all new audience, awesome. If it makes one person get into Metal Gear Solid, awesome. I think it's a good remake. I personally think that Konami burned the bridge with Hideo Kojima in the worst way possible. I see the trailers. I see the things that are coming out. I want to be excited. I want to be hype. But there's just that voice in the back of my head that's just like, they could screw it up. Here's a perfect example. The remakes that have already come out, that they've already made, are just remakes of the PS3 remakes. They don't remake the original game. They remake the remakes. And so it's like, come on, man. Give us the real thing. You keep teasing us.
Which what other remakes did they do? I'm totally out of the loop of Metal Gear. Okay, after Metal Gear Solid 3, shonk. I didn't buy a fucking PS3. I didn't fucking play fucking 5. I didn't give a shit. The only one I did play was Revengeance, baby, because that's the Mega Man X of fucking Metal Gear, baby. Plus, suck me in on them spinoffs. That's for me.
Hola, amigos.
Hola. Yes. Wonderful. That game became a fucking meme. Like, it's been memed like crazy. And I think it's so funny because I'd played it and then the memes came out and I was like, what the fuck is happening? Are people just starting to play Revengeance or what the fuck's going on?
I'm so happy for that game because it is alive and well on TikTok and Instagram Reels because it gets memed and quoted all of the time, and every time I like it because it is so funny. Think about that, not just that time period, but games in general. How often do they have an amazing metal soundtrack, upbeat metal soundtrack? It's about a non-main character in a series doing essentially a side quest. He's doing his own thing with characters. It was just perfect. It was an amazing game when it came out, and then now it's getting memed into high heaven because it's ridiculous. You cut a dinosaur in half, a giant mech dinosaur in half.
I'm ready to replay it. That's all you convinced me.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'm ready. Let's boot it up right now. Like, comment, and subscribe if you want us to fucking boot it up right now.
Yeah.
We're not live, but if we were,
but just imagine. The millions and millions.
Oh my god! Well, for real though, the fucking I don't know. Like Metal Gear Solid, when we talk about that, when I think about that, I'm taking right back to high school. I'm taking right back to the PS1 discs. I'm thinking about Metal Gear Solid 2 and the PlayStation 2 and the feelings I had playing that game over and over again because I beat it multiple times. And then when 3 came out, you're talking about a generation of people who had just got done watching not only the James Bond sagas, including the best James Bond movie is obviously GoldenEye. We had watched that, and then Austin Powers, okay, and then we get hit with fucking Metal Gear Solid 3. Like, yo, that was it. I didn't need another one. Yeah, we didn't need to make any more. We were good. I couldn't believe that they made 4. By then, okay, I'm going to go on a side quest here of my own. Because there's another fucking game series that needs to be brought forward. And it needs to be, I don't know. It's okay. So how I would fucking demake Metal Gear is how I would make this game into a 3D game. Is I would demake fucking Metal Gear into Boktai. and then I would take Boktai and I would fucking make that into Metal Gear. Man, dude, I fucking love those Boktai games. There was 2 of them.
Yeah,
They were
yep.
fucking incredible. And then they made a 3rd one where you got the guy with the sword, and he had like darkness, and he's like fucking he's got the sword. And I was like, sick. This is so sick. I can't wait for them to make this on a big console. Because that was always the thing, right? If it was a handheld game, and if it got it good enough, it could grow up into the big console. Poor Golden Sun. Anyway, yeah, that's my side quest. I don't remember what the fuck we were talking about.
Yeah, I don't know. Who cares? Here's how you could make.
I'm losing it, man.
Here's how you could make me happy. Just write a check to David Hayter. There you go. That's the end. And then I'll buy Metal Gear Solid 1 again and play it on the PlayStation 1. There you go. Perfect remake.
Let's get David Hayter and Cam Clark to do the voices of those 2 guys, the Darkness Boy and the Boktai Boy. I don't remember their fucking names, man. I'm terrible. I'm like, it was so good. I can't fucking remember their names. Let's get those 2 guys to be the voices for them. Then we'll get the guy who does Ocelot's voice, and he can be the fucking Dracula. Let's go.
I'm in. I'm all the way in.
Come on. Put me on the team. I'll help you fucking come up with ideas for fucking good games that people want to buy. Shit. And nobody will want to fucking buy, and that's really what it'll be.
Yeah. And then we're instantly just thrown in jail.
Get out of here, old man. Oh, my back.
Don't yell at me. I'll cry.
Yeah, stop. Well, anyway, yeah, I like the idea of a demake. There's a kind of popular, I don't know if it's done or if it's still getting worked on or what. There's a Final Fantasy VII demake that demakes it into kind of like the old school, like NES version of a Final Fantasy game. I tried to, I don't think I played it. Maybe I just watched videos on it. My memory is kind of shit. That's really cool. Imagine Mario 64 demake. Can you?
Yeah, I'm sure you can. Yeah.
Is it already a demake?
Yeah, I'm sure you can.
See, here's the thing: is Mario 64 is the demake of fucking Odyssey or so on.
Now we're getting big brain. Yeah, I like this.
Fuck.
Yeah.
I don't know. See, it's not just big brain. Is I'm realizing the age of the games that we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't forget, these are fucking the oldies. This is the oldies channel. This is Midnight with the Oldies Boys.
Exactly. What I mean, and also, in all honesty, what we're talking about, here's what I want. More than I want a remake or I want something old made new again. I want young people to have access to the things that we played when we were kids as readily and as available as we did. You could go to any video rental store, which, by the way, those are not even a thing anymore. But you could go in and let's say I didn't own a PlayStation. I could just rent a PlayStation and then get 3 games or whatever and rent them for a week. And there you go. There's your entertainment for the week. Yeah, I just don't think there's. We've turned into such a streaming culture where, you know, what can I get right now? What can I get at this very second? To the point where, you know, now the games aren't even available anymore. It's just not available for people.
So wait a minute. That's what we're going to do? You and I are going to fight?
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
Yeah, okay. So you want the physical media, and I'm like, yeah, bring on the streaming, baby.
No.
Come on, this is easy.
No, the way that here's how I can't even begin to like express my frustration with this. We brought up the topic of emulation earlier and in mods and all of that stuff. I'm a very firm believer that if you're going to do that, I'm perfectly okay with it. Legality and all of that stuff aside. Obviously, nobody owns all 100 copies of the ROMs that they downloaded, right? Obviously. But I think if you're going to do that, you should try to emulate on the hardware that console was designed for. I think that's how you get a true one-to-one experience. I did that I have a PlayStation Vita that I've done that on, and that to me is the ultimate experience, is having it in my hand. I can feel it. I know what it feels like. I know what the developer wanted me to feel when I was playing the game. And I understand. I know that that's not practical. I know you can't have a closet full of video games. I do have that. It should be available to be streamed and downloaded. I get that. But I also think there should be an option. If I want to buy the game, I can put the game on my shelf, and anytime I want to play it, I can grab it, put it into my console, and it plays.
I think this is really funny. This is almost like the the analog Vinyl Boys kind of argument. It's not really like a real fighting argument, right? Like,
Yeah.
play it on what you can. You're right. I will probably never have the experience of playing Super Nintendo on original everything. I just don't have access to it, and nor do I have the means to purchase said things for my own personal stupid hobby of just playing Mega Man X, because it would be Mega Man X on the fucking CRTV, big old fucking tube smacker, you know, you ding it, and ding, 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 you know, and sit there with a fucking Super Nintendo controller and eat cheese balls or something, sit on the floor and play. Probably never have that experience again. But you're right. It is an interesting experience. The other thing is, people always talk about this. It's been talked to death. Oh, did you know the graphics look different on old TVs? Yes, I did know that because I lived through it.
Yeah, I was there, Leo.
Yeah, but number two, my lord, is I want people to have access to these old games, but I also want them to be made easier for, you know, like modernize them a bit as far as give me access to save states so people can actually beat them in a timely manner so they can get their fucking video game history. Because not everybody wants to sit there and struggle like we did on these old games for no reason other than just to experience it. Maybe they just want to get it through so it's in their head and they have that experience so that they can view gaming today in a lens that is more educated about where games came from. But I'm with you for real on get the media in your hands because it feels good to have it. But thanks to the fucking scalper market, this hobby is fucked. So play digitally. See you tomorrow.
One of my favorite stores to go to is Disc Replay. It is my heaven. That one day when I win the lottery and I become a millionaire, I'm going to walk in and they're going to say, "What can I get you?" And I'm going to say, "I'll take the lot. I'll take it all." Essentially what it is, it's a retro used gaming store where you trade games, movies, videos, whatever. It's essentially a pawn shop is what it is for electronics. I go in there all the time and I just sit there and see, like, here's a PlayStation 1 game for $150. What are we doing? Why is that game $150? Here's what we should be doing. We should buy that store, turn it into a library, and then every single kid that walks in, they can sit down and for 30 minutes, they can play Final Fantasy VII on a CRT TV the way it was meant to be enjoyed. And then I can sit there as an old man and die happy and just be like, back in my day, we used to play on a coax cable. And, you know, they can swat me with brooms and get me out of there, you know, whatever it takes. Just, gosh dang it, make it happen.
Can you imagine? Oh man, you just created an amazing cornucopia of potentials in my mind about how fucking cool that would be. A fucking gaming library? Are you kidding? And it's good. Shh. But you're in there and everybody's sitting on fucking old ass looking couches from like the 70s, because that's what we were fucking sitting on, folks, because our parents got hand-me-downs from their parents or some shit, and we were playing that on or I was playing at my grandma's, who was still sitting on stuff from the fucking 70s. And just be sitting in there, and it vaguely smells of somebody who used to smoke cigarettes in the room.
That's exactly
and you're sitting there fucking playing.
That's exactly
quietly.
It.
And you can buy cheese balls and soda pops.
I'm telling you, dude. I'm telling you.
I want to do that. That sounds fun.
This is completely off the rails now, but I was having this conversation with a couple of my friends, and she is actually on somewhat of a position of influence in local government and stuff like that. And, you know, it's like, what are things that you want to see? What are things that the kids want to see and all of that stuff? And it's always the same things. People want green space. They want to be able to go to a park and walk and play and have a space for kids to be kids. I want the exact same thing, but I want it for the little introverted kid who doesn't want to go talk to strangers or play baseball or whatever it is. And they just want to sit down, and for 30 minutes, they play Tekken 2. And they've got King, and they unlock Armor King, and they realize what coolness really is.
Can you imagine going into one of those rooms where somebody's like, they're done for the day, but they didn't shut everything down, and you just sit down and start playing their save file? That's the experience of
Yes.
Getting the fucking save file from the rented game and being like, oh, How far is it? Oh, they're at the end. I'm just going to take a peek, just a quick little peek. I may never see the end. I might want to take a peek because there wasn't videos. You couldn't just watch a video of somebody beating a game. No, you get the save file on the Super Nintendo or whatever fucking system you played on. And you just plug it in, and bam, that's right there in slot 3 at the end. Oh, baby, you didn't delete it. Leave it there for the next guy.
Full circle here. What's the first thing you do when you buy like a used game? You check the memory card. What games were they playing? How far did they get? If it's Pokemon, what Pokemon did they have in their starting team? All of that stuff, man. Like, I'm telling you, put me in charge. Let me be president. I will run this country into the ground, but at least we will have at least one library for kids to go play games in.
The great gaming library. There'll be one in every town. This country will now be producing CRT televisions again, and we are going to buy up all, what are those systems called where they can play the old games? I don't know. Fucking retro consoles that can play old games. Not like reproduce the Super Nintendo, but can play Super Nintendo game. Please donate your old games to this museum and library where it will be clean and no one will blow in the bottom of it anymore. We will make sure it has a good connection.
It's the island of misfit toys from what was that Christmas movie where the redheaded guy has like the abominable snowman and all that stuff. What was that? Is that just Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer?
Yeah, that's just Rudolph.
Yeah, give me that.
A couple of misfits.
Give me that.
A couple of misfits. Yeah, that's a good movie. My kids just watched that this year and they liked it. Or last year. I mean, technically.
Yukon Cornelius. That's his name.
Yes, perfect.
Got a pickaxe and a firearm on his front hip.
No, every room has 2 TVs. One's playing. One you can play the game, and the other one's running fucking Toonami and Cartoon Network. Fucking reruns on it. Sitting there fucking, next time on Dragon Ball Z.
This is how I know we're getting old, because I would sit there and just stand behind the couch and just be like, you're not going to believe this is going to blow your mind.
Oh, yeah, we would definitely, like, you just stop in to check and see how people are doing, and then you just be standing there behind are you going to sit down? And no, I'm on my way out. And you're just sitting there, and you just stand there for an hour watching somebody play that game and watching TV. Do you want to sit down? Nah. I'm about to go. I used to start my car and then I would stand there and I'm like, didn't you start your car? Yeah, I'm about to go. Just keep watching. You go turn your car off. No, I'm about to leave.
I literally just did that the last time I was at my parents' house. I helped them move furniture and put some wood flooring down. I'm an old, out of shape man, so I'm just sitting there huffing and puffing, and I go down into the living room to get some water. My dad's in there watching Troy. And I'm just like staring at this movie. It's like halfway through the movie, and it's like, "Do you want to sit down and watch it?" Nah. I know how it ends. Okay, and it's like, well, I'll just go to the next commercial, and then you end up talking through the commercials, and then the show comes back on, so you sit and watch.
We haven't talked about other media. We've mostly just talked about games, but at some point, we're gonna talk about these old anime movies and old anime. I'm sure it'll come up. But yeah. Troy, what a classic! That was a classic movie. If you haven't seen that, you got to watch it. See, this is supposed to be talking about games, and here we are about to fucking talk about Troy.
We lead others to a treasure we cannot possess.
Yeah, but that's really well, shit. Anyway, I'm out of ideas for right now. It's been about 30 minutes, so we're gonna wrap it up. Next time, I think we might get into some FPS games. We haven't talked about the classic FPS game. Now, I don't know about you, but I didn't play Doom originally. But I think we need to run through the history of FPS games so that we can round out our thing. We talked about sports, talked about RPGs, talked about Mario and Sonic. We haven't talked about FPS games and where they came from and why. So I think we're going to do that for a little bit next time. But as for me, good night, everyone. Anthony, you can go ahead with your outro, my good man.
See ya.
All right, fucking bye. Shit.